What's up, people? I'm back. I think this is episode 6. So, yeah, for a while, I think I've kind of been doing too many interviews. I hope you guys like them. The point of that is I just don't want to keep on telling my story over and over, even though I'm trying to save certain parts in my life, which I want to talk about, because I think a lot of that, you guys might have went through the same thing. And I can tell about how I pulled through that, and maybe that'll help somebody out there. I just know from the comments I've been getting and all you guys is such kind words. It's helping me. I tell a lot of people go to AA meetings. I gotta be truthful. I don't go to as many that I should be, maybe. But I really do believe that there isn't no one way that's like guaranteed to get you sober. So it works for everybody. For me, luckily, I got you guys that, just write good stuff, and I'm able to write you guys back. This stuff is helping me in my recovery. So even though I don't go to as many AA meetings as I should, I am always making sure sobriety is number one in my life, and that's the most important thing. To stay sober, to keep sober going, and to be pumped on sober is just to make sure you guys, always are talking about always making sobriety number one, I guess. I always see it when people think they have it and they think, well, I'm a normal guy again. I can go out and handle it, and, I did rehab. That's behind me, and now I'm a normal person. Those guys will always go back out every single time. So for me, being able to do this, interacting with you guys on social media, emails, this is helping me. So you guys are helping me by doing this. So thank you guys. I swear, you guys have no idea, the comments, the questions. I know a lot of you guys, I write you guys back. It helps me, so thank you guys. So yeah, but if I didn't have this, I would have to go to AA meetings and just make sure that I know that every single day I am a drug addict, an alcoholic in recovery. And, I think after that, your life definitely gets easier, but you definitely just got to make sobriety number one. I've been doing a lot of interviews. I kind of want to get back to more intimate one-on-one with you guys. I kind of want to talk about this episode. I just get so many people that tell me, how did you really do it? And I think I've kind of told you guys in a nutshell how I did it. So I kind of just want to get into more depth and really even if I'm pausing and kind of stuttering, I'm just really thinking, taking myself back into the time and really telling you guys exactly how I did it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You guys have probably heard my story a lot. I don't want you guys out there, if you guys are dealing with addiction and you guys are in your room crying, not knowing there's a way out, thinking you're all by yourself, you guys, I'm telling you, you guys aren't alone. At the last stages of my addiction, I was in the outside, everybody thought I had it all. I'm a successful dirt bike rider. I'm sponsored by all these guys. Dudes look up to me. I would go into my room every night, and I wish I was dead. I'd go there crying because I couldn't live without drugs. I had to get a sack of heroin, a sack of pills just to get me through the day. I know how it is. I know how gnarly addiction is. If you're watching this and you aren't a drug addict and you don't know maybe anything about the world of that and sobriety, you're probably looking at me as a weirdo. But bottom line, drug addiction is very heavy. It's gnarly. I had to bury one of my good friends a couple weeks ago, sent another one of my buddies to rehab. It's heavy, and you kind of don't forget, I put myself through that, and the other people in addiction, but it's all the other people that you hurt, the family members, just all the loved ones. And when you're in addiction, you don't know the other people you're hurting, and that's the hardest part. Now being sober and looking back of all the jacked up stuff I've done and the people I hurt, it's definitely hard. But I think once you get sober and you get open with it, you really be open with it, all those people, they forget about all the bad stuff you guys have done. So I'm gonna fast forward. I want to get back to kind of where I wanted to talk about, but fast forward, if you guys decide to get sober, start going to AA meetings, I would really suggest to be open with that. Don't hide it in and be ashamed that you're a drug addict. I think for me, I'm just an addict. Anything I do, I get on my dirt bike. I'm gonna go as big as I can. I go to the club. I party as big as I can. I do drugs as big as I can. Alcohol, blackout drinker as big as I can, and even sobriety as big as I can. You know, doing YouTube, you guys see like I'm just preaching about sobriety. So whatever. It's I'm going into sobriety as big as I can. So that's just kind of who I am. There's no for me. There's no middle switch. It was either wide open or pretty much nothing. And I think a lot of addicts like that. That's their mentality and their kind of life. So definitely that was for me to like get back to the early stages. You guys already know my deal. I got into riding, metal militia at age 16. That lifestyle was so gnarly at age 16. Being accepted in the metal militia, and back then in the early days of freestyle motocross, it was truly rock and roll. For a lot of years I was living on a tour bus with a Warped Tour, 3 months at a time, getting paid, partying every day, and I never had to buy any drugs or alcohol. It was always coming to me, going to clubs. So it was a very destructive lifestyle, big time. Not knowing I was a drug addict, but I never had a job in my life. My job was to ride bikes and get crazy and party, right? So that got into pain pills. Norcos. I was getting at one time 125 Norcos, 80 Xanny bars, 90 Valium every 2 weeks from a shady doctor. I did that for a long time. Went through all of them. Crazy, because you think about it, that would kill a small army. But when you're addicted, you would not believe how immune you can get to that stuff. So yeah, I did that. My best friend died in the back of my truck base. We went to go refill our prescription. Remember driving home. He was snoring in the back seat. He's done this so many times, so I didn't think nothing of it. We got home, stiff as a board, blue. He OD'd in my truck. And at that time, I didn't think nothing of it because I was so in my drug world, I even think I took his pills as the coroners took him, to the hospital. That's disgusting, right? It is, but when I was in that state of mind, it didn't matter. Of course, he was my best friend. I took that very bad, but, he was living at my house, so I went in his room and made sure the cops weren't going to take his pills, Why would you do that? At least I'm going to have them. So I took them. It's just disgusting, that life. I'm disgusted, the stuff I'm telling you guys. The reason I'm kind of telling you some of my war stories is to let you guys know that you're not the only person. Got really addicted to Xanax, Xanny bars. I was taking like 5 a day on top of Norcos, Valium, and drinking. I remember I tried to get off those a couple times. I had 4 seizures getting off Xanax. Not trying to get off, just because I ran out, had 4 seizures. One time they took me to the hospital. They had to tie me down, and I punched one of the doctors because I came out of a seizure, and just gnarly stuff. It's not cool. I'm just telling you guys, maybe one of you guys have been through that, and you're not the only person. I was a blackout drinker every single time I went out. The next morning, I've got 10 phone calls like, dude, I cannot believe what you did last night. I didn't think nothing of it. I was just getting over my hangover every single time. So I was a full-blown alcoholic. I like to say I'm like a drug addict, but really alcohol was horrible for me. Blackout drinker every single time. Just ruined everything. It was horrible. The stuff I did. I was addicted to cocaine for a very long time. That was the weird stuff I did on that, man. I mean, I could write a book. I don't want to get into it. That turned into crystal meth when you couldn't get the coke. And anybody out there that's done that, you guys know that just takes you into a whole different world. So yeah, that. And then I got in when the Oxycontin came about 10 years ago, and that really hit. Oxy 80s. I was snorting about 3 of those a day, and each one costed $100. That got into Roxy's because they stopped making the OC 80s. They made them where you couldn't crush them to snort, because that's how I was taking them, or smoke them. So they made this different Oxycontin. It's called an OP. So I was just eating those, and this is for cancer patients. 80 milligrams was the strongest. I was taking a couple of those a day. I got introduced to heroin. That word alone, I grew up in a little town. There's no way, as a child, how my parents raised me, I would ever have thought I would ever touch that stuff. I figured, hey, it's a lot cheaper than the Oxycontin, so I got into that. That turned into about a 1.5 gram day habit, and that's when I really started to lose everything. Disgusting drug. That's the kind of drug that's where it really ended for me, because that drug, it takes a hold of you so bad where you can't do anything without it. I couldn't wake up without it. I couldn't function without it. If I didn't have it, you feel like you're gonna die, truly. This isn't just like some little weenie talk like, oh, just didn't feel good. Like, you literally feel like you wanted to die. I remember many times, if I had a gun, I would have taken myself out. I would do anything to get it. And that's why you see all the crime out there. These drug addicts can't get their fix. They'll do whatever they can do to get it. That was a really tough one. The whole heroin game, the stuff I did, I lost everything I had. Traded it all. I had everything at one time. I've told you guys this many times. I'm sure you're sick of it. Just want to let you guys know, like, people out there that are in that same game and you don't have anything, I know what you did. You went to the pawn shop, you traded it to drug dealers, you got your sack, you ran out the next day, had to do it all over again. And I remember at one point I didn't have anything, but for some reason I was always getting money for it. Getting it out of my friends, lying, going, just crazy stuff, So then when that stuff ran out, and this is like in a 10-year period, when that stuff ran out, my buddy's like, dude, try this, it's dust off, and I did that. It's hot, it's computer cleaner. Told you guys this before, but I got into that. Like, I huffed it, it's like whippets, and it just takes you into a different world. But at that time I didn't want to live, so I did that. It got really crazy because I couldn't get money for the good drugs. I had nothing, so I was going into Targets, Best Buys, Thrifties, Rite Aids, passing out in those stores because my addiction was so bad. Just getting my body high enough so I didn't have to feel the withdrawals and coming off of just being sober. I didn't want to face the world sober. I had too many problems. So that stuff, I was doing that to numb the pain. And it just shows how, like, at age 16, I started going to high school parties, drinking beers, and just how it elevated. Now being 35 and looking how it just gradually went up. And it's true, for young kids watching out there, don't think it can't happen to you. Because I was raised by a perfect family that don't have any alcoholics or drug addicts in my family, and one thing led to another, and it just elevated big time all the way till the very end. Ended up, 3 DUIs, so many drug in public, so many other. I don't have any crime records, but yeah, that led me into Twin Towers jails after passing out my truck. I've told this story. Don't want to keep on repeating myself. I'm just telling you guys this because I hope somebody is watching this and they're like, oh my God, I can relate to that story, because most drug addicts can, So I guess what I really want to talk about is how, people say, how did you really turn it around? I don't know in maybe episode 2 if I talked about this, but I really want to talk to you guys about it. Really think about where I was at that time and what I was going through. I couldn't do it. A lot of you guys write to me and you're like, how do you do it? And I always tell you guys, the only way, I don't know anything professionally about sobriety. Nobody really does, because there's only 2% rate of people getting clean after rehab. So I think different things work for different people, but I think the big picture is AA meetings and NA meetings work the best, because that's something you can go in any day. It's free. The fellowship is amazing. You go in there and you don't even have to talk if you're scared. I was super scared my first AA meeting, It's not like what you see in the movies where everybody's smoking cigarettes in a small circle and the lights are on you. It's not like that at all. And keep going to ones till you find the one you like. It took me a while to find one I like and I can relate to people. So just go sit in the back and just listen. You'll be surprised that somebody's going to say something that's going to relate to you, and you'll get something out of that meeting. And that just might make you stay sober for that day from what you learned to carry you on to the next day. And that's what the 1 day at a time phrase is all about, So that's why a lot of people have to go to meetings every single day just to stay sober for that day. So I would definitely recommend AA or NA meetings. right off the bat, if you want to get sober right after you watch this, go hit up a meeting. You know, for me, I couldn't do that. I wasn't strong enough. I had to go to a rehab. When I went to rehab, it changed my life. You know, you got to go in there with no ego. I had a huge ego, you know, being a metal militia guy, dirt bike rider, travel the world. I had a huge ego. That ego ruined my life. But I went into rehab with no ego. You know, I got out of rehab. I lost everything, had no truck. I was riding my buddy's borrowed mountain bike to go work at a print shop where I was making $12 an hour, but I had a smile on my face. And you know what? I made sobriety number one. I was going to meetings at that time, just doing what you got to do, and miracles happen. Any person you've seen in a meeting that's like me, that's making their sobriety number one, good things happen. It's miracles. I'm telling you guys, it's weird. My first AA meeting, I heard people talking about, yeah, I'm sober, all these miracles are happening, I got all this money, I got jobs, I got my life back, married, kids, like what the fuck, shut up. You know, because I was like the new guy. It's true. 100% true. And I really got to recommend, if you guys, you know, decide to go to rehab, there's going to be a phone number and a hotline in the credits. Call that number. They will set you up with a rehab, detox, sober living, or just talk to them if you need help. So it's after this in the credits. Please call that number. And once I'm on the topic, is subscribe for Recovery Today magazine. It's a free online magazine at the App Store, and it's just, you know, I got my own section there. It's got really good in-depth tips from other people. You know, maybe you guys can't jive or relate to me, but there's other people that maybe you'll get something out. So Recovery Today magazine, it's free. Download that in the App Store. That's a really great group of guys that I'm working with. So yeah, back to rehab. That's the only way I could do it. If not, go to AA, NA meetings right after this. Or, you know, maybe this is helping. Keep watching this. I want to do something different every Saturday. And I got to tell you guys, I'm not getting paid. This is my meetings doing this. Hopefully being able to, like, help. Maybe this episode's stupid. Like, yeah, no, it's not that good. Maybe the next one, I'm bringing on Larry Linkhogel. His story's amazing. Maybe you'll get something out of that. I just know addiction's real. I thought I was going to die. I remember the last couple days in my room, I was crying. I just, you know, wanted my dad to pick me up. Like, I wanted my mom. I just wanted my life back. Drugs took everything away. I think about that every night. And I think that's another good tip, is if you guys are sober now and like, how do you stay sober? How are you so happy? Every single night. For one thing, I pray every night. I'm not too religious. I don't go to church, you know, but I believe there's a higher power. I believe there's a God. I believe, you know, if I'm doing this YouTube page and I got like 2 fans out there, then there's a God, because I should not be here. I definitely pray every night. Thank you for giving me this life, and I promise I'm going to try and do good tomorrow, because I pulled it today. So, you know, definitely you have to have a higher power, whoever it is, you know. Make sobriety number one, go to AA meetings. And I would say, maybe this isn't for everybody. Maybe you think you're like going to get frowned upon from others or coworkers, but come out about that you're a drug addict or alcoholic in recovery. I got to tell you, I've done some jacked up stuff in my life. People know that. Since I've come out and talked about me being a recovering addict, I've had nothing but praise. I take that with a grain of salt, because I almost feel like my sister, who has never done anything bad, I feel sometimes I get more praise from people than her. And I feel like that's weird, because at the end of the day, I was a fucking drug addict, deadbeat. You know, I changed my life, and I'm just a normal guy now, you know? But I don't know what it is, so, like I said, taking that with a grain of salt. Think people like comeback stories, whatever. But I think the big thing is that once you get sober, you got to give what you got, give it back. Be open with it. I guarantee if you just come open with it to people, people are going to be like, dude, you know what? My family member, I got somebody in my family that's dealing with that. My best friend's an alcoholic. He needs help. It's out there. It's like a hidden thing. People hide their addictions, their problems so good. Everybody's not perfect out there. Like, it's a lot of smoking mirrors out there, I can guarantee. If I told you guys the people that I know that are in extreme sports, supercross, motocross, that are dealing with addiction, that from the outside they look like they have it all. And a lot of big time, like celebrities I know, just a lot of stuff. it's a facade kind of. They're dealing with issues. They're just not ready to like put up the white flag. So it's out there. Everybody's got issues, and that's kind of what like maybe this is all about. Telling you guys that you're not alone out there. If you guys are dealing with addiction, you guys can get your life back. Message me, but that's kind of the point with this. So maybe this episode will work, maybe the one before or after. I'm planning on doing this every single week with new guests, new topics. Maybe I repeated myself from a topic. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know, because I've been getting a lot of messages like, what do you do? How do you get sober? And rehab, bottom line. If you can't, AA meetings. So, I got sober, but my good friend, Brett, this is what you do when you decide not to get sober and you want to continue down that lifestyle. There's guaranteed, Google it, there's not one successful drug addict or alcoholic. There isn't, because they either end up going to jail, killing somebody, or you end up like this. This is his ashes. His parents gave a bunch of these out, and his goal was to spread these ashes out to different motocross tracks. He was really into riding. Let me tell you guys, when I was in my addiction, I had my intervention at Brian Deegan's, and I thought I had it. I got this, you guys. I left Brett, who's in this bag, took me to his house before he was really dealing with addiction. He took me to his house, made sure I was staying sober. He watched after me. He probably could have saved my life. And it's really sad that after he went down the same path, and look, this is where my best friend is. In this bag. It's very serious, you guys. I had to send one of my buddies to rehab, and just see his family and his friends, it destroys people. And the reason this isn't a container is because I had this under my handlebar bar pad, because I always wanted him to ride with me. This is my buddy Bass. He was my best friend since I was a kid, and we got stuck in the same doctor that was just prescribing us, like I said, 125 Norcos, 80 Xanny bars every 2 weeks, Somas, and that doctor killed a lot of people. It ended up where the DEA found out I think he killed like 9 people from prescribing drugs. He hung himself right before he was about to get arrested. And I know for a fact, because I'm still in the game, I see what's going on. There's doctors out there all the time, so there's my best friend in a little, part of him. But, it just shows you this is how real it can get. And I see it all the time. People, you guys think you're on methadone, Suboxone, getting off heroin, and these doctors are telling you guys to stay on it for, 2 years. They're only saying that because they want your money. I got a buddy right now. He's been in the methadone clinic for a year and a half. That stuff should be like a 4-day period. I was a heavy heroin user. I did it, kind of cold turkey, because my rehab didn't let that happen. So, it's just, you got to be stronger, and don't listen to those people, because they keep people on that way too long. So that should be a 4-day period to use that stuff and get right off it, because that's just another drug you're going to get, addicted to. So I just want to say thank you guys. I read every one of your messages. It helps me out so much, you guys. I hope what I'm doing here is helping at least a couple people. That's all that matters. Give me 2 or 3 people, and I'll keep on doing this. But you guys are helping me by doing this, and I want to show you guys this. This is SMBG. We actually came up with a new motto for SMBG. It wasn't about this, but we're like, dude, sobriety must be good. I'm like, dude, that's a perfect saying. So we're changing the name. So, I want to give cool stuff out to make. I just think, once you're sober, it's rad. It's, be proud of it. So I'm going to make you guys some cool product to rep that. And then you guys already know about my Hellbent wallets. I got a sober AF as fuck. You guys know what that means, but my mom might be listening. I got that wallet out, and I got One Day at a Time Hellbent holsters. Check them out, hellbentholsters.com. Use the discount code SCUMMY15. And I just want to say thank you. Just please do me a favor. Tell your friends about this. tell them to subscribe. I think I got Larry Linkhogel coming on next week, so that should be good. And I actually got a really, really big guest that I'm actually nervous to interview, so I ain't going to say the name, but it's going to be big. So please keep tuning on every Saturday. Thank you guys so much. Talking Sobriety with Colin Morrison. We'll see you guys next Saturday, and thank you a million. I love you guys, all right?
The first time I saw the Descendants, they were the fastest band I'd ever seen. No one in the crowd really cared for them. We were waiting for the Alley Cats to play. After a couple months I heard Kabuki Girl on Rodney on the Rock late Sunday night. That was enough for me, I hopped the bus.